The streets, recently bustling with footsteps and voices, fell silent, giving way to the rustle of fallen leaves and the distant hum of cars. In a narrow alleyway nestled between old brick apartment buildings, where rusty dumpsters exuded a pungent odor, a German shepherd named Lisa lay hidden. Her once thick fur, dark with golden markings, was now matted and dirty, and her ribs protruded beneath her skin like shadows of past strength. But it wasn't her emaciated body that drew the eye. It was her deep, despairing eyes glistening with tears. Lisa lay on an old piece of cardboard, pressed against the cold wall. Nearby, in a makeshift nest of rags and leaves, 6 tiny puppies whimpered. Their small bodies, covered in sparse fur, shivered from the cold, and their weak, hungry cries barely reached the edge of the alleyway. Lisa watched them with endless love, but her gaze was clouded with fear. She knew her milk was almost gone, and her strength was fading with each passing day. Her puppies, her little treasures, were on the brink of life and death. Each time passersby's footsteps echoed in the alley, Lisa would lift her head. She didn't bark, didn't growl, she pleaded. Her eyes, hazy with exhaustion, followed every person who walked by. She whimpered softly. Her voice trembled like an autumn leaf in the wind. But people looked away. Some quickened their pace. Others wrinkled their noses in disgust at the sight of the dirty dog and her puppies. "Homeless," they whispered, hurrying on. Lisa didn't understand their words, but she felt their indifference, and each rejection pierced her heart like a sharp needle. She hadn't always been like this. Once, Lisa lived in a home where warm hands stroked her fur, and her bowl was always full. But her owner disappeared. Maybe he died, maybe he abandoned her. And Lisa found herself on the streets, pregnant, with the burden she swore to protect. She learned to hide from the rain under awnings, to scavenge for scraps in the trash, to avoid aggressive stray dogs. But now, with her puppies born, she couldn't go far. They were her world, and she had given them everything. Her milk, her strength, her hope. That evening, the alleyway seemed particularly empty. A cold wind chased leaves across the asphalt, and the street lamp above the dumpsters flickered, casting uneven shadows. Lisa pressed against her puppies, trying to warm them with her body, but her own warmth was fading. She lifted her head, hearing footsteps. A young woman, wrapped in a warm scarf, walked through the alleyway, returning from work. Her name was Maya, and she was one of those people who always notice the small things. A sparrow on a windowsill, an old woman carrying a heavy bag, or a homeless cat searching for food. But that evening, she was lost in her own thoughts. Fatigue weighed on her shoulders like a heavy burden. Lisa noticed her and, gathering her last reserves of strength, stood up. Her paws trembled, but she took a step forward. Her eyes pleaded. She let out a quiet, piercing whimper that tore through the silence of the alleyway. Maya stopped. Her gaze fell on Lisa, then on the puppies whose weak, squeaky voices emanated from the nest. Maya's heart ached. She had seen homeless dogs before, but something in Lisa's eyes, a mix of despair and hope, made her freeze. "Oh, you poor thing," Maya whispered, her voice trembling. She took a step closer, but Lisa tensed. Her ears flattened against her head. She was scared. Years on the street had taught her not to trust people, but she didn't retreat. She remained standing, protecting her puppies. Her gaze darted between Maya and her children. Maya noticed how the thin German shepherd trembled, how her ribs protruded under her skin, and felt a lump in her throat. She couldn't just walk away like the others. Maya slowly knelt, trying not to frighten Lisa. She opened her bag and took out a half-eaten sandwich she'd brought for lunch. Carefully, so as not to make any sudden movements, she placed the food on the asphalt and moved back. Lisa watched her. Her nose twitched, catching the scent of food. Hunger warred with fear, but maternal instinct won. She took a step, then another, and finally snatched the sandwich, devouring it in a few greedy bites. Her eyes, full of wariness, never left Maya. Maya watched Lisa, her heart breaking. She saw how the dog struggled, how she sacrificed herself for her puppies. In that moment, Maya knew she couldn't leave them there, in the cold alley, to the mercy of fate. She pulled out her phone and started looking for contacts for local volunteers, shelters, anyone who could help. The night was deep and there were no answers. Maya looked at Lisa, who had returned to her puppies, lying down and covering them with her body. "I'll be back," Maya whispered, her voice full of determination. "I promise." She didn't know how she would save this family, but she knew she wouldn't abandon them. Lisa, as if hearing her words, lifted her head. Her tear-filled eyes met Maya's, and in that moment a bond formed between them, thin but unbreakable. Maya left, but her heart remained in the alley with the mother German shepherd and her puppies, whose fate now depended on her actions. The night was long for Maya. Lying in her small apartment, she couldn't close her eyes. The image of Lisa, the thin German shepherd with tear-filled eyes, and her tiny puppies, trembling in the cold alley, haunted her. Each time she closed her eyes, she heard the faint squeaking of the puppies and the mother's piercing whimper, begging for help. Maya tossed and turned. Her heart ached with guilt for leaving them there under the flickering street lamp. But she knew she would return not empty-handed, but with hope. At dawn, when the sky was painted a pale pink, Maya was already on her feet. She gathered everything she could find. Canned dog food she bought for a neighbor's dog, an old blanket from her closet, a bottle of water and a bowl. At the local store, she bought a bag of puppy food and several cans of meat puree. Her hands trembled as she packed everything into her backpack, but determination burned in her chest like a small but bright flame. She didn't know how she would save this family, but she couldn't let them die. The alleyway greeted her with dampness and silence. The morning fog swirled over the asphalt, and the dew-covered dumpsters smelled even more sharply. Maya stopped at the entrance. Her gaze searched for Lisa. The German shepherd lay on the same piece of cardboard. Her body covered the puppies like a shield. The puppies stirred faintly. Their whimpers were barely audible, and Maya felt her throat tighten with pain. Lisa lifted her head, her ears twitched, and her tired eyes met Maya's. In them was the same mix of fear and hope, but now Lisa didn't whimper. She waited. "I'm back," Maya said softly. Her voice trembled with emotion. "I'll help you." She slowly knelt, trying not to frighten Lisa. Taking a can of meat puree from her backpack, Maya opened it, and the smell of food spread through the alleyway. Lisa tensed, her nose twitching, catching the aroma. Hunger was stronger than fear, but she didn't move. Her gaze darted between the food and the puppies. Maya placed the bowl of puree on the asphalt and moved back, giving Lisa space. The German shepherd watched her. Her paws trembled, but maternal instinct took over. She slowly approached. Her movements were cautious, almost stealthy. Finally, she lowered her head to the bowl and began to eat, greedily swallowing the food. Maya watched, her eyes filling with tears. She saw Lisa struggle for every bite, her emaciated body trembling with weakness. This wasn't just a dog. It was a mother, ready to sacrifice everything for her children. Maya took out a second bowl and mixed puppy food with water, creating a gruel the little ones could eat. She crawled closer to the nest, but Lisa immediately raised her head. Her ears flattened, and a protective fire flashed in her eyes. "It's okay, girl," Maya whispered. Her voice was soft like morning light. "I won't touch your babies." Lisa watched her, her breathing heavy. Maya froze, not moving, until the German shepherd lowered her head back to the bowl. Only then did Maya carefully push the bowl of gruel towards the puppies. Their tiny noses twitched, catching the scent, and they stumbled and crawled towards the food. For the first time in their short lives, they were eating something other than their mother's weak milk, and their faint whimpers turned into quiet lapping. Maya couldn't hold back her tears, looking at their little faces smeared with food, and at their eyes in which a faint light of life had ignited for the first time. Lisa finished eating and returned to her puppies. Her gaze was still wary. She lay down next to them, covering them with her body. But now there was less fear in her eyes. She watched Maya as if assessing her intentions. Maya took out the blanket and carefully covered the puppies with it, leaving Lisa room to warm them. The German shepherd didn't flinch. She just tilted her head slightly. Her nose touched the fabric as if in thanks. Maya knew that food and a blanket were only temporary help. Lisa and her puppies needed more. warmth, safety, medical attention. She pulled out her phone and started calling volunteer contacts. Her friend Kate, who worked at a local animal shelter, answered immediately. Hearing about Lisa and the puppies, she promised to come with a crate and contact a veterinarian. But Kate warned, the shelter is overflowing, and finding a place for a whole dog family will be difficult. I'll find a way, Maya said firmly. Her voice was full of determination. They won't stay here. While Maya waited for help, she sat in the alleyway, her eyes on Lisa. The German Shepherd, as if sensing the change, relaxed. She lay closer to her puppies. Her breathing became more even, and her eyes, still full of anxiety, now looked at Maya with cautious trust. Maya extended her hand, not touching Lisa, and spoke softly. You're a strong girl. You did everything to protect them. Now I'm with you. Lisa tilted her head. Her ears twitched as if she understood. In that moment, Maya felt a connection not just between a human and a dog, but between two hearts united by a single purpose. She knew this was only the beginning, but for the first time that night, her soul was filled with hope. Lisa and her puppies were not alone, and Maya was ready to fight for them, no matter the cost. When Kate's car noise was heard in the distance, Maya looked at Lisa and smiled through her tears. Everything will be okay, she whispered. I promise. The morning fog began to dissipate as the sound of an approaching car echoed in the alleyway. An old rust-stained van stopped at the entrance and out stepped Kate, Maya's friend, a volunteer at the shelter. Her short hair was disheveled, and dark circles lay under her eyes from sleepless nights, but her gaze burned with determination. In her hands, she carried a large pet carrier and a bag with medical supplies. Maya, still sitting next to Lisa and her puppies, felt her heart beat faster. Help had arrived, but the unknown lay ahead. Lisa, lying on the cardboard, became alert. Her ears flattened against her head, and her anxiety-filled eyes followed Kate. The puppies, covered by the old blanket, whimpered softly. Their tiny bodies still trembled from the cold. Maya stood up. Her voice was soft but firm. Kate, they're here. They're barely hanging on. Kate knelt beside Maya. Her gaze fell on Lisa. The German Shepherd, emaciated and dirty, looked like a shadow of herself, but her tear-filled eyes burned with maternal strength. Kate sighed and her face clouded. Poor thing, she whispered. How did she even survive? And these little ones, they're so weak. Maya nodded, her throat tightening with rising tears. She told Kate how she found Lisa, how she begged passersby, how she gave all her milk to her puppies, sacrificing herself. Kate listened, her fingers nervously picking at the edge of her jacket. Finally, she said, we need to take them to the vet right now. They won't survive another night on the street. Maya looked at Lisa, who was still warily watching them. She knew she had earned a tiny bit of the German Shepherd's trust, but the transport would be a test. Lisa wouldn't simply allow her puppies to be taken. Maya slowly extended her hand, not touching Lisa, and spoke softly. Girl, we want to help. We'll take you to a safe place. You and your babies will be warm. Lisa tilted her head, and her nose twitched, as if trying to grasp the sincerity in Maya's voice. Kate carefully opened the carrier and placed it next to the nest. She took out a soft towel and began gently transferring the puppies one by one. Their tiny bodies were so light they seemed almost weightless. Lisa tensed, her body trembling, but she didn't growl. She just watched. Her eyes darted between the puppies and Maya. It's okay, Maya whispered, her voice trembling. We won't separate you, I promise. When all 6 puppies were nestled in the carrier, covered with the towel, Kate turned to Lisa. The German Shepherd slowly rose. Her paws trembled with weakness. Maya took out some more meat puree and placed it in front of Lisa to distract her. Lisa greedily ate the food, but her gaze never left the carrier. Maya and Kate exchanged glances, realizing the hardest part was yet to come. If we're careful, she'll follow her puppies, Kate said. Her voice was full of hope. She trusts them more than us. Maya nodded and slowly lifted the carrier, holding it so Lisa could see the puppies. The German Shepherd immediately stepped forward. Her nose almost touched the grate. Maya and Kate moved towards the van, walking slowly so Lisa wouldn't get scared. To their relief, she followed them. Her steps were uncertain but determined. When they reached the car, Kate opened the back door, and Maya placed the carrier inside. Lisa froze. Her ears twitched, but Maya knelt beside her. "Come on, girl," she said. Her eyes gleamed with tears. "We're together." Lisa looked at Maya, then at the carrier, and as if making a choice, jumped into the van. She lay down next to her puppies. Her body covered them like a shield. Maya and Kate closed the door, their hearts pounding with a mix of relief and anxiety. Maya sat next to Lisa. Her hand rested on the edge of the carrier to comfort the German Shepherd. The van pulled away, leaving the alleyway, full of cold and despair behind. The veterinary clinic was a 30-minute drive. When they arrived, morning had already broken, and the first rays of sun pierced through the gray clouds. The clinic, a small building with peeling paint, was familiar to Kate. Here she had saved countless homeless animals. The veterinarian, an elderly woman named Dr. Evans, met them at the entrance. Seeing Lisa and the puppies, she frowned. Her gaze became serious. "Their condition is severe," she said, examining Lisa while Maya and Kate held the carrier. "The mother is emaciated. The puppies are on the brink. We need to run tests immediately." Maya felt her heart clench. She watched Lisa, who lay on the examination table. Her eyes were full of fear, but she didn't resist. The puppies were taken to a separate room for examination, and Lisa whimpered softly. Her gaze followed them. Maya stroked her head, daring to touch her for the first time. Lisa flinched but didn't pull away. "You're a good girl," Maya whispered, her voice trembling. "We'll save them." Dr. Evans began the examination. Lisa was so weak she had to be fed a liquid nutrient solution through a syringe. Tests showed dehydration, anemia, and an infection caused by malnutrition. The puppies, though alive, suffered from hunger and hypothermia. Dr. Evans looked at Maya and Kate. Her face was stern, but her eyes were full of compassion. "You're lucky you found them," she said. "Another day or two." And she didn't finish. But Maya understood. Maya stood in the clinic hallway, her hands trembling. She looked at Lisa through the glass of the examination room, at her emaciated body, at her eyes, which still searched for her puppies. Anxiety for their lives mingled with determination. Maya knew this was only the beginning of the journey, but she was ready to go all the way. Lisa and her babies deserved a chance at life, and Maya wouldn't let them down. The veterinary clinic became a temporary refuge for Lisa and her puppies, but their path to salvation was far from over. Maya spent every free hour at the clinic, sitting by the kennel where Lisa lay, or watching the puppies in the incubator where lamps warmed them. Lisa, still weak, received nutritious solutions through a syringe, and her emaciated body slowly recovered. The puppies, whose tiny paws barely moved in the first few days, began to gain weight. Their whimpers grew louder, and their eyes, now open, sparkled with curiosity. But Maya knew that the clinic was only an intermediate stop. Lisa and her babies needed a real home. A week later, Dr. Evans gave the go-ahead to transfer the family to the shelter where Kate worked. The shelter, an old building on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by a rickety fence, was overflowing, but Kate convinced the director to set aside a corner for Lisa and her puppies. Maya and Kate prepared the enclosure, warm blankets, water bowls, and soft straw bedding. When the van pulled up to the shelter, Maya opened the back door. Her heart pounded with excitement. Lisa, still wary, got out of the car. Her nose immediately went to the carrier where the puppies whimpered. She didn't leave their side for a step. Her eyes followed Maya's and Kate's every move. "Welcome home, girl," Maya said softly, lowering the carrier into the enclosure. Lisa went inside. Her paws stepped uncertainly, but feeling the warmth of the blankets, she lay down, covering the puppies with her body. For the first time in a month, she was safe, in a place where there was no cold, no hunger, no threat. Maya sat down nearby, her hand resting on the enclosure's grate. Lisa looked at her, and in her eyes, still hazy with exhaustion, flickered trust. Maya smiled and her throat tightened with rising tears. "You did it, Lisa," she whispered. "You protected them." At the shelter, a new chapter of their lives began. Lisa, who had been fed liquid food, gradually transitioned to solid food. Her fur, once matted and dirty, began to shine, revealing the dark with golden markings that made her look like a proud forest wolf. She was still thin, but her movements became more confident, and her eyes, once full of fear, now shone with warmth. The puppies grew every day, their paws strengthening. Their fur became thicker, and curiosity pushed them to explore the enclosure, stumbling and falling in the soft straw. Maya gave them names: Rusty, Fluffy, Dawn, Bear, Spark, and Shadow. And each time, looking at their clumsy games, she couldn't help but smile. Kate and other shelter staff helped care for the family, but Maya became their main guardian angel. She came every day after work, brought toys for the puppies, cleaned the enclosure, and sat with Lisa, talking to her like a friend. Lisa, who at first flinched at every rustle, began to relax. She learned to take food from Maya's hands. And one quiet evening when the shelter was silent, Lisa carefully rested her head on Maya's lap, and her warm breath touched her hand. Maya froze, afraid to scare away the moment. She stroked Lisa, feeling her own heart fill with warmth. "You trust me, don't you?" Maya whispered, her eyes shining. "We'll do everything right." But caring for Lisa and the puppies was not only a joy but also a challenge. The puppies, though gaining weight, were still vulnerable. One of them, Fluffy, was weaker than the others, and Maya anxiously noticed how he lagged behind in games. Dr. Evans, who visited the shelter for checkups, warned that Fluffy needed special care. Lisa, as if sensing this, didn't leave his side, licking him more often than the others and covering him with her body. Maya and Kate developed a plan: extra nutrition for Fluffy, warm compresses, and regular checks. Maya stayed up at night worrying about the little one, but his every faint whimper, every new step gave her hope. At the shelter, Lisa and her puppies became everyone's favorites. The staff, accustomed to difficult cases, admired the German Shepherd's resilience. "She's a real hero, Mom," Kate would say, watching Lisa play with her puppies, gently nudging them with her nose. But Maya knew that the shelter was not the end of the road. Lisa and her babies deserved a real home where they would be loved and protected. She began looking for potential owners, posting ads on social media. But the thought of parting with this family broke her heart. One evening, sitting by the enclosure, Maya noticed Lisa looking at her. Her eyes, now clear and deep, were full of emotions. No fear, no despair, but something new akin to gratitude. Lisa whimpered softly. Her tail wagged slightly, and Maya felt her soul fill with light. She knew that Lisa was no longer the frightened dog from the alleyway. She was becoming strong, beautiful, ready for a new life. And yet Maya couldn't shake the anxiety. What awaited this family next? Could she find them the home they deserved? As Maya left the shelter, stars were already shining over the city. She looked at the sky. Her thoughts were with Lisa and the puppies. Their transformation was a miracle. But Maya knew that the most important thing was yet to come. She had promised them safety, and that promise guided her forward like a lighthouse in the night. A month had passed since Lisa and her puppies settled into the shelter. During that time, their lives had transformed, as if gray autumn had given way to warm spring. Lisa, once a thin and frightened German shepherd, now radiated health. Her fur, dark with golden markings, gleamed like a forest stream under the sun, and her eyes, once full of tears, glowed with confidence and warmth. The puppies, Rusty, Fluffy, Dawn, Bear, Spark, and Shadow, had transformed from fragile bundles into agile and playful little ones. Their paws had strengthened, their tails wagged like tiny brooms, and their cheerful barks filled the shelter with joy. Even Fluffy, the weakest of them, had caught up with his siblings. His eyes sparkled with mischief. Maya came to the shelter every day. Her heart was connected to this family by an invisible thread. She played with the puppies, taught them simple commands, and stroked Lisa, who now trustingly rested her head on Maya's lap. But the thought of the future gave Maya no peace. The shelter was overcrowded, and despite the staff's love, Lisa and her puppies deserved a real home. a place where they would be valued not as wards but as family. Maya posted ads on social media, telling Lisa's story. And every like, every share brought her closer to her goal. But with each passing day, it became harder for her to think about parting. One morning, Kate, beaming with a smile, burst into the enclosure where Maya was cleaning bowls. "Maya, I have news," she exclaimed. Her voice trembled with excitement. "A family from the suburbs wants to adopt Lisa and all the puppies. Together." Maya froze. Her heart skipped a beat. She looked at Lisa, who lay in the corner, watching Rusty and Dawn wrestle over an old toy. Joy mixed with anxiety. Would Lisa agree to leave the shelter? Would the new owners care for her just as much? Kate, as if reading her thoughts, added, "They're good people. They have a big house with a yard, 2 kids, and experience with dogs. They saw your posts and fell in love with Lisa." Maya nodded, her eyes shining. She knew this was the chance she had dreamed of, but saying goodbye seemed unbearable. That same day, the family arrived at the shelter. They were Anne and Mark, a middle-aged couple with 2 children, 10-year-old Maya, her namesake, and 6-year-old David. Their eyes sparkled when they saw Lisa and the puppies. Lisa, sensing new people, became wary, but Maya knelt beside her and spoke softly. "It's okay, girl, they're kind. They'll give you a home." Anne, the mother of the family, knelt and extended her hand. Lisa hesitated, sniffed her fingers, and then wagged her tail slightly. The children, restraining their excitement, stroked the puppies, who immediately began to lick their hands. Maya watched, her heart clenching with a mixture of joy and sadness. She saw that Lisa felt safe, and that was the most important thing. The move was scheduled for the following week. Maya helped prepare everything necessary: collars, toys, a supply of food. On the last day at the shelter, she sat with Lisa in the enclosure. Her hand stroked the German Shepherd's warm fur. The puppies slept curled up in a pile. Their breathing was even. Lisa looked at Maya. Her eyes, deep and clear, were full of emotions. She whimpered softly and licked Maya's hand, as if saying thank you. Maya couldn't hold back her tears. "You changed my life, Lisa," she whispered. "You all did." When the van with the new family drove away, taking Lisa and the puppies, Maya stood at the shelter gates, her gaze following the dusty road. Her chest felt empty, but it was a bright emptiness, full of hope. She knew she had done everything possible to give them a chance at happiness. A few weeks later, Maya received a letter from Anne. Lisa and the puppies had settled into their new home. They ran around the spacious yard, slept on soft beds, and the children loved playing with them. Lisa, now proud and confident, became the soul of the family, and the puppies, growing up, filled the house with laughter and barks. The letter included a photograph. Lisa lay on the grass, surrounded by her puppies. Her eyes shone with peace. Maya pressed the photo to her chest. A smile touched her lips. Each time she passed the alleyway where she first met Lisa, Maya stopped. Now there was no cardboard, no trash, only clean asphalt and the faint smell of autumn leaves. But the memory of Lisa and her puppies lived in her heart like a star illuminating the path. This story taught Maya that even in the darkest times, one act, one heart full of compassion, can change everything. Maya continued to work with the shelter, helping other animals, but her dedication went beyond ordinary care. She was determined to change lives one animal at a time. And each time she faced difficulties, she remembered Lisa and her puppies. A reminder that no act of kindness is too small. Their story became a beacon of hope not only for Maya but for everyone at the shelter who heard it. It was a testament to the power of love and perseverance, a legacy that would live on in the hearts of all who knew them. Maya knew that many more animals needed her help, but the story of Lisa and her puppies gave her strength. It wasn't just a happy ending. It was a triumph of love, proof that even the weakest can find their home if someone is willing to fight for them. And Maya, now forever connected to this family, was grateful to fate for becoming a part of their lives.